Hello and welcome to ADSolutions online workshop series session number 2. On behalf of ADSolutions, I welcome you one and all for workshop series, and my name is Anant, pre-sales technical consultant of ManageEngine ADSolutions team. In the first place, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you one and all for bringing this workshop series a grand success. This is only the session number 2, and the feedbacks I have received from you guys for the session number 1, I was really impressed. So not just for the fact that so many appreciation emails I got, I have also received a feedback on how to improve this workshop. So with that said, we have gathered all the feedback that you guys have given, and we are trying to improve ourselves from this workshop. Okay, so some of you have mentioned that you need more in-depth coverage on the native Active Directory settings, like the domain controllers policy and the SACL policy settings. So we have fine-tuned the agenda, and for today's session, it's going to be a little bit on the native configuration side. Not too much, but a little bit on the native configuration side. It's just because it's based on the feedback that we have received on the session number 1. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick recap on the things that were performed on the session number 1. Okay, so that's for sure, and we're gonna have 5 sessions for this workshop. Okay, so it's not just the 2 as mentioned initially. So we're gonna have 5 different sessions, and the session number 3, 4, and 5 topics will be sent as an email probably tomorrow morning. Okay, so we're gonna cover the file audit section and the member server section in a separate dedicated sessions on this workshop series. Okay, and the final workshop would be about the advanced configuration feature that we have in the ADAudit Plus. Okay, so the information for you is we're going to have 5 sessions of this workshop, and today is session number 2. On the session number 1, we have discussed about the native configurations that you have to do in order to track the logs on the event viewer. I will be covering that topic today as well. It's because of the responses I have received from most of you. So we're going to have a little session on that. And for today, we will be focusing more on the use cases of ADAudit Plus. So how effectively you can use ADAudit Plus in a works in your organization, and that's going to be the today's topic. Okay, so just to give you a quick recap, my name is Anant, and I'm a pre-sales technical consultant of ManageEngine ADSolutions team. Okay, so this is going to be the agenda for today's session, and we will be covering on what are all the policies you have to enable on the domain controllers and the SACLs. Okay, and what are all the various use cases. I have a separate list of topics for that. So these are all the topics we'll be discussing for today's workshop. I hope this is going to be a interesting one for you. So I request every one of you to keep an eye on the monitor and listen to the seminar so that you can utilize the ADAudit Plus in your organization in a much better way. Okay, so coming to the architecture of ADAudit Plus, this is for those who have missed the previous session. How the ADAudit Plus is going to function is it is going to collect the data from the security logs of the event viewer. Okay, so being the primary source, it is essential that all the changes that are happening on your Active Directory will have to be logged on your event viewer. But in reality, the security logs will not load all the events. Okay, there are too many factors for that. Okay, one is the space constraint, and the other one is it would cost you a huge network bandwidth. Okay, therefore Microsoft, they themselves have limited the security logs to some size. Okay, so for the AD Audit Plus to function or to give you the right information, you have to enable a few logs. I mean, a configuration on the domain control default domain controller policy. Only then all the information that you needed to track will be logged on your event viewer. Okay, so don't worry about these configuration. It's absolutely recommended by the Microsoft. Okay, so what are all the changes you're making on the event viewer will not have any impact on the network bandwidth or on the size of the domain controller. Okay, so we only need you to configure 1 GB of sorry, 254 MB of security log size. Okay, so that is prescribed by the Microsoft, so we can enable that size on the security logs so that AD Audit Plus can periodically fetch the data and it can report the information. Okay, so the AD Audit Plus has an internal database as well as a Tomcat server, a web server. Okay, so therefore you don't have to configure any third-party database or third-party web server within the software. Okay, you don't have to do anything. So the tool comes with its own Tomcat server and PGSQL database. And most importantly, it is not advised, or it is not recommended to install the AD Audit Plus on any domain controllers. Okay, so you can have it installed on any machine that is a part of the Windows domain. You can put it on a domain controller, you can put it on a member server, or you can put it on any workstation. It doesn't matter where you're installing it, but ensure that computer is a part of the Windows domain. Okay, so that's very essential. Okay, so once the AD Audit Plus collects the logs from the event viewer, that will be stored in the internal database, from where it will get processed and will get displayed as a report. Okay, so these are all the various reports that we have in the product. You can see that on the right hand side we have real-time auditing. Yes, AD Audit Plus is pretty much the real-time. It maintains a listener, and the listener will periodically collect the newly added logs on the security logs, and that will immediately be stored in the database of the software. Okay, so that's how it is going to function, and you don't have to install any agents on the domain controllers. So that's about the architecture, and these are all the real-time reports that we have. Test, test, test. Hello, testing. Test, test, test. Shadipo, testing, test. Thank you. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. There is some technical issues with this the setup, so sorry about that. So let me go ahead and explain what I was discussing earlier. So we were talking about the dashboard. So the dashboard of ADAudit Plus is pretty much customizable. You can remove any widget from here, and you can add your own reports to the dashboard. Okay, so it's 100% customizable. And right under the reports tab, these are all the Active Directory reports we have in the ADAudit Plus. Okay, so you can see the various reports like the user's login, log off details, account management, where you can track the changes that happens on all the objects that you have, users, computers, group, contact, and so on. You can even track the GPOs and any extended attribute that you have added on the Active Directory that can also be tracked using the ADAudit Plus. Okay, so that's the reporting section. Okay, so the most important part of the ADAudit Plus is if you go to the domain settings window, which is on the top right hand side, here you can see the information about the domain and the list of domain controllers that you wish to monitor. Okay, so in my case I got two domain controllers. Okay, and the status, it says listening, and you can see the other status says success. Okay, so with that said, we have two different modes. Okay, you have uh, you have the real-time mode, okay, and you have the scheduler mode. So the scheduler mode will periodically fetch the data from the security logs, okay, based on the interval that you have defined here. Okay, so you got the schedule and the real time. Okay, so in the schedule you can define the frequency on when the tool has to go and fetch the data from the event viewer. The real time mode will instantly push the newly added logs on the event viewer. Okay, so these are the two different modes. Okay, so now let me quickly go ahead and take you to my Active Directory users and computers to show you how you can enable the default domain controllers policy. Okay, so you just need to go to the GPMC. Okay, just the group policy management. I understand these topics were already covered, but uh, I'm just going to do a quick overview on this. Okay, so here you would find the domain, and this is your domain controller, and I'm just going to the domain controllers and just right click on the default domain controllers policy. Okay, so underneath my domain controllers I have the default domain controllers policy, so and just go and click on the edit. Okay, so here I see the computer configuration and the user configuration. You just need to go to the computer configuration, expand the policies, and expand the window settings. Okay, now you can see the security settings right here. Just expand the security settings. Okay, so let me do it again. Under the computer configuration, I'm expanding the policies, and under the policies, I'm expanding the window settings, and underneath the window settings, I'm expanding the security settings. Okay, so hope I'm clear on how I arrived to this group policy uh, management editor. Okay, so now okay, so in the group policy management editor, and I am under the security settings. Now you just need to expand the local policies. Okay, and here it says audit policies. Just click on this one, and this is the configuration that you needed to have. Okay, so the audit account logon policy should be success and failure. Audit account management should be success and failure. Audit directory services should be success. Audit logon events should be success and failure. Okay, so the first four in the list, now that's what we needed, and this is the configuration that you have to set in the default domain controllers policy. Okay, so this is for default domain controllers policy, and let me quickly show you the SACL. Okay, so what are all the you know uh, things that you need to enable in the SACL settings? Okay, for that I just need to open up my Active Directory users and computers. Just waiting for it to come. Okay, so just right click on this one. Okay, and then go to the properties, and then you need to click on the security. Okay, now by default you will not be getting the security tab here. So if you want to get the security tab, you make sure the advanced features, this option is checked, which is under the view menu. Okay, you just need to click on the view menu and click on the advanced features, so that when you right click on this domain and when you hit the properties, you will get the security tab. Okay, now from here you just need to go to advanced. Okay, now click on the add button and the select a principal. This is going to be everyone. And now, so why are we enabling the SACL? Okay, because it is enough to enable the default domain controllers policy for the basic Active Directory auditing. However, if you want to track the changes that happens on your OU, GPO, or in sometimes groups, uh, you will not be getting the required information when just the default domain controller policy is enabled. Therefore, it is recommended to enable the SACLs as well, so that all the information that you needed will be logged on your event viewer. Okay, so if you want to track uh, the changes on the OU, you make sure. Okay, so you make sure that the policies I mean the entries what you needed. Okay, so this object and all descendant object. Okay, make sure this is selected and you enable the required permission. So the required permission are create all child objects, write all properties, delete all child object, delete, modify permissions, and all extended rights. Okay, so you just need to search for that, for all these access entries that I've just told you. I will be giving you a document. Don't worry. It's highly complicated to follow. These information that do on the workshop. But we do have a document for this. We will be sending you an email with this document along with the presentation that I was showing you earlier, so that you will be given all the required information to you once we're done with the with this exercise. But I'm just telling you what are all the options you have to select for the corresponding objects. Okay, so if it is for the OU, you make sure that the read all properties, read permission, and write all properties, delete all child objects, modify permission. So these access has to be enabled. Okay, similarly for other objects, it differs. It differs from object to object. You'll be having all these information in the document, which I will be sending it to you in the later part. Okay, so that's something you have to know. So how did I arrive to this? Uh, I just right click on the domain, go to properties, click on the security tab, and click on the advanced, and give the permission to everyone, and then select the objects that you want and add the SACL entries. Okay, so that's pretty much about the configuration. Okay, so if you need more assistance, if you need any specific assistance with respect to these configurations, please shoot me an email. I'm very glad to take it up in a separate one-on-one remote session. Okay, so that's about the configuration. Okay, so coming to the use cases that we're going to discuss for today, the first use case I'm going to take up would be administrative group modification. Okay, so administrative group modification. So in a nutshell, it's highly it's highly complicated to give permissions to users. Okay, so for instance, if you want a user to perform some activities, okay, maybe a regular user, you want him to do a password reset, account unlock, and to create objects on the Active Directory, you have to go and create a policy, and in the policy you can define what are all the set of permissions that you want this user to perform, and then you have to assign the permission to him. Okay, and what if in case of multiple users, you want to assign permission for multiple users? Okay, so it's highly complicated, and in these days, it's something not recommended. Okay, it's not recommended to give individual permissions to users, and that's exactly why the groups are in place. Okay, so create a group, and in that group you can mention the required permissions, then add a user to the member of that group, and that is enough. Whatever the permission the group is having will, the user will be inheriting it. So if that is a domain administrators group, by default all the members of the domain admin group will have permissions for doing anything. Okay, so they can do a reset password, they can delete an account, they can perform any operation. Okay, so irrespective of what user object it is. So one way it is acceptable, as long as you're choosing the right user as the member of administrators group. At the same time, this operation has equal dangers in it, which means imagine instead of assigning a user called A, if you're assigning the user B as a member of domain admin group, the user B will have all the permissions. So he can do anything. He can log into the domain controller, he can perform anything. Okay, so one single mistake would cost you a lot. Okay, so you have to be very careful when it comes to a group management, adding the users or removing the users. You have to be very, very careful. Okay, so that's exactly why you have to keep tracking the changes. Which user is added to what group and which user is removed from a group. Okay, but in reality, it's a bit complicated to get the information. So what we have in the ADAudit Plus is a separate report called the group modification. That one will give you the complete insight on all the changes that happen on the group object. Let me take you over there. Okay, so I go to the reports tab. All right, and here you got the group management. So these are all the reports that explains the complete changes that are happening on the group object. Okay, you can see the recently created security group. So how many security groups have been created, by whom, on which domain controller, at what time. You will get this information. And recently created distribution group, recently deleted security group, recently deleted distribution group. And if a group has been moved to a different OU, you can get that information right here. Okay, and similarly, this is the most important report, recently added members to a security group. Okay, so this one will tell you the complete details about how many users have been added to an administrative group or how many users have been removed from the administrators group. We have a separate report called recently removed members from a security group. Okay, so you can see the report right here where it says how many security groups you have and who added a member to that group. This is the member name and the modified time, domain controller, and the remarks. It tells exactly what was added. A member was added to the security group. Okay, and if you would like to get more information, just click on the add remove columns and you can get more information about this report and you can have that column added to it. You can very well export the information to CSV, PDF, XLS, or HTML file format, or you can even schedule the report so periodically the tool will email the information to you. Okay, so that's the scheduler we have. Now, apart from the predefined report that we have, we also have alerts. Okay, so you can create your own alert profile in the ADAudit Plus in such a way that any changes that happens on a group object, you will be getting an instant alert. Let me tell you how to create an alert profile real quick. Okay, so you go and click on the new alert profile. Okay, so just name the group right here, description. All right, and we can define the severity if it is an attention, trouble, or critical. So we have predefined reports available. Okay, so all the reports that you're looking at in the ADAudit Plus are based on profiles. Okay, you have multiple predefined profiles available, out of which predefined reports were derived. And of course, there is an option for you to configure your own report profile, just like the alert profile. Okay, there will be a separate section on that part. So we'll be covering on how to create a report profile and the advanced configuration. Okay, so right here, so we're going to select the group modification as the category, and you can see like modified distribution group, modified security group. Okay, so select the appropriate report profiles and then click on the advanced configuration. So this advanced configuration is to suppress the email alerts. Okay, so not all the changes that uh, that are happen on the Active Directory will have to be sent as an email alert. Okay, you can define the threshold. So you can define a filter, or you can even define a user. So based on which only when the events occurred as per the conditions given here, only those information will be sent as an email alert. So you can add your own filter. Only when the group scope is global or universal, you will have to send an alert. Or only when the member name or the privilege or the caller user ID, old value, record number, new value. You can see lots of conditions and lots of filters you can include to it. So accordingly, once the alert matches the criteria, it will be sent as an email alert. And you can also mention the email address to which the tool has to send an email. Okay, and you can mention the subject and just click on the save button. So in that way, any changes happen to a security group will be sent as an email. So that's the configuration, and that's how you can track all the changes that is happening on the security groups that you have on the AD. Okay, so that's about the first use case. And now let me move on to the second use case. Okay, so how can you monitor the service accounts that are running on the services? Okay, so what are all the accounts configured in the service, and how to track those changes? Like for instance, this report is very essential, especially when it comes to password policy, a strong password policy. So for instance, if a user has reset the password but he forgot to update the information on a particular service where the account is configured, uh, sometimes it'll keep authenticating with the Active Directory, and for the reason that the correct password is not updated in the service, it keeps authenticating with the Active Directory, and eventually it will make the account to lockout. Okay, so to overcome that, you have to ensure what are all the services, the service account have configured in what services. So that is something you can track using the ADAudit Plus. Okay, so you go to the reports tab right here. Okay, go to the reports, and you just need to go to the user management and see something called as user services. Okay, let me show you this again. Go to the reports tab, and right under the user management, you got user services. So here you need to select the computer. So on what all the computers you want to track the services, select the computers and make sure the users are selected as all users. Okay, and you just need to hit the run button. Now you got to give me a couple of minutes time, because this is going to fetch the data on the individual computers that I have selected. So I'm sure this is going to take a few moments. So let's wait till it appears. All right, got the information. So you can see the information, the machine name, the service, and what's the status of the service. Okay, so in these computers I have a few services which does not require any credential, but you can see these services which has the accounts configured. So the name of the service itself is ManageEngine ADAudit Plus, and from where it is running and what's the status of it. Okay, so in that way you can very well get the information about what are all the services that are currently running on what account is configured on that particular service. Let me show you more information. Okay, so that's the report which tells you about all the services that you have on the selected computers and what account is configured to it and what's the status of that service. Okay, so you cannot perform any management operation apart from this. So this is just a reporting mechanism, a reporting tool which will tell you the information about the services. Okay, so that's about the use case number 2. Okay, now coming to the next use case, how to trial all the management actions performed on an employee right from the user creation. You want to know about all the changes or all the management operations performed on an employee. Okay, sometimes it's good to know, right? You can identify who enabled that account, who created the account, and if the account was moved to a different OU, or if title, department, or any attribute, any specific attribute got modified, the complete information can be tracked. So we're just going to track the history of the employee. What are all the management operations performed on to that user? Okay, so that's going to be the use case, and let me show you how to pull up the information. So I'm going to the reports tab right here. Okay, and you could see a report right under the user management where it says user object history. Okay, so here you can select the period, how long you want the information to be tracked. In my case, if I want to track it for the last week, last month, or for the last 6 months, I can define it right here. In my case, I'm selecting as last 30 days, and then I'm going to select the user. Okay, so while searching for that account, you can see you can make a search based on group-based users or OU-based, or you can even provide a custom query. Okay, so this is OU-based, where you can select a particular OU and the tool will list out all the users in that particular OU, and then you can select the users. Similarly, this one will list out all the groups that you have. You can select the specific group in which the users are the member of, and that one will list out all the members of that particular group. Then you can select the user in which user you want the information to be tracked, or you can directly go and search for the user account right here. Okay, I got my user, just click on OK, and here comes the information, the complete changes. So what time it got modified, who modified it, the exact username, domain controller, on which domain controller it happened, okay, and the description, what happened. So you can see that the person called Bharat has modified the title. The value right now is IT specialist. Okay, and this is for the second user. Okay, in my case I have added 2 users, so it is giving me the report on both the users. And there is an advanced search available. So in this particular report, you can query the information based on the caller username. Okay, so you can filter the report based on the caller username. If the caller username contains Bharat or administrator, you can very well search and filter the report. Okay, and you can very well add multiple search. Okay, so I have given 2 different search criteria, and the report I got here is based on the advanced search which I have given here. Okay, so that's the purpose of having the advanced search. So we can search the report based on the criteria. Okay, so that's the user object history, and the user object history is going to tell you what are all the operations are performed to the selected user right from the day on. You can keep tracking all the changes. Okay, so all right, let me move on to the next report. Next use case. So this one would be the most interesting one. So how to monitor employees logon duration. Okay, so one of the key factors to measure the productivity of an employee, like how effectively he is working for your organization. So the key factor is to monitor the amount of time the user has invested to work. So how long an employee is in the organization, and you can also remove the idle time. Okay, so remove the idle time and calculate the work hours. So how long he is on the active session on the computer. So based on which you can very well calculate the productivity of an employee. So ADAudit Plus would give that to you. So it gives you the best report. It can tell you the idle time. It can tell you what time the user has logged in, what time the user has logged off, and if he locks the computer, and then and how long the computer was in the idle state. You can get a complete information in the ADAudit Plus. Okay, so let me show that to you real quick. So the report I was talking about, to track the login duration of an employee, it's available under the local logon and log off. Okay, so it's right under the reports tab. So when you talk about reports, it's the Active Directory reports. When you talk about file audit, it gives you the report on changes happen on the file server. When you talk about server audit, it gives you the details on changes happening on your domain controller or on the member server. Okay, so that's the difference. Okay, so reports tab gives you the details on all changes happen on the Active Directory. Okay, so now under the reports tab, you go to the local logon and log off, and the second report, it says logon duration. Okay, so this one will give you the details about the user's login time and from which computer the user has logged in, and what time the user has logged off. Okay, so once the log off information is available, you will be getting the logon duration. And how the logon has happened, is that an interactive login, or a remote session or something, you can get that right under the logon type. Okay, so that's the logon duration report we have, and you can very well select the computers, the workstation, the member server, or on the domain controller. Okay, so in my case, I'm supposed to select the workstation, but this is a testing environment where I don't have much information to show you. But in your real-time environment, I'm sure if you have the ADAudit Plus is running, and if you have configured the workstations, you can go ahead and select the appropriate workstation and just click on the OK button. The tool should give you the complete details on the user's login and the log off details. Okay, so in case if you're not getting the information, please make sure the SACLs are configured on the workstation. Okay, uh, we can send a document to you for configuring that. Okay, so that's very simple. So make sure that the SACL is configured on the workstation so that the tool will be tracking the log off details from the particular workstation. Okay, and make sure this feature, the log off feature, is available only when you purchase the workstation license. Okay, so you will be getting the log on, log off details on the domain controllers and the and the member server. Okay, so on the member server and the workstation, if you want to get the log off details, you make sure you purchase the add-on packs. So member server and the workstation are needed to be purchased separately. Only then you will be getting the details. So that's how you can track the users logon details, the local logon and the log off. Okay, so now we are going to go to the next use case. So how to identify a brute force attack in your organization. So what is a brute force attack? It is nothing but a non-human, a computer or a script that will periodically give various passwords, and eventually it will authenticate with your Active Directory, and it will allow you to log in. Okay, so that's what you call it as a brute force attack. Okay, so you can write a script and you can execute the script at the login time. So the script will check for various attempts, and it can be of anything. It can be of n number of times. Okay, depending upon the account lockout policy that you have. Okay, so it keep trying, and eventually it will unlock the account and it will get into the computer. So how that could be identified? It's very important to identify a brute force attack, especially in case of the account lockout policy is not configured in your Active Directory. So ADAudit Plus is the best tool to track that information. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to the Reports tab again, and underneath the local logon and log off, we have local. Okay, so the best report I could show you is failures due to bad password. Okay, so failures due to bad password. So that's the appropriate report. Okay, so when it comes to a human and a computer, okay, if I am a real-time, if I am a user and I'm trying to log into a computer, and if I forgot the password, okay, so how many bad passwords I could try? 3, 4 times, 5 times? I am into the IT, so I know that my account will eventually get locked out. So I cannot make more than 5 attempts because I know that my computer is going to get locked, right? But when it comes to a computer, or when it comes to a script, the script doesn't know when your account is going to lock out. Okay, in case if you don't have the account lockout policy configured in the Active Directory, the script will have a greater chance, greater possibility to to penetrate into your computer by doing some multiple attempts. Okay, so now the difference between the user and the computer exists here. A user will give it up, say, for more than 5 or 10 times, giving it 5 or 10 tries, and he will give it up. He will call the technician, he will call the help desk, and he will ask them to reset their password. But the scripts will keep trying it. Therefore, you need to know the exact count, how many times a bad password attempt have been made. And that's exactly what ADAudit Plus is going to show you. That's under the failures due to bad password. You can see the username. So it's very interesting, in my use case, the administrator himself have attempted to use a bad password for 653 times. That's a news to me. That's really news to me. I don't know what went wrong. Maybe a script or something my development team would have tried, but I'm very surprised to see this. Okay, so administrator and the client host name. This is the client host name from where the attempt has been made. The client IP address and the count. Okay, so sometimes if you're unable to resolve the DNS, the tool may not show you the IP address, or the tool may not show the host name, but it'll, in case if the DNS is not resolved, the tool will be showing the IP address. Okay, so and vice versa, because that's why you're having the host name here. Otherwise, it should show the IP address of the computer from where the attempt was made. Okay, so you can see the number of times the bad password have been typed, and from which computer, the IP address of it, and the username. Okay, so that's how you can identify how many bad password have been giving, and how many times the users are trying to authenticate to the Active Directory by giving the bad password. Okay, so that's the use case. And the final use case for today, it's only for Active Directory. Okay, so for the Active Directory, the final use case would be how to alert any changes made in your GPO. Okay, so you just need to go to the Alerts tab, and you can go and as always, you can go and create a new alert profile. Okay, and you just need to click on the GPO. You can include what GPOs you want to track. If you want, you can select all of the GPOs, or you can search for the specific GPO that you wish to monitor. And then the alert message, then the email notification. So which email address you want the tool to send this alert, the subject of the email, and the email content. Okay, and just click the save button. So that's how we can track or you can get an alert if anything goes wrong on the GPO, or if any changes happen on the GPO. Okay, so with that said, I'm also going to show you the GPO reports that we have in ADAudit Plus. So we have two different classifications. Okay, the first one, right under the GPO management, you can see recently created GPOs, deleted, modified, and these are all the basic GPO reports. Okay, they're just going to tell you the GPO name, modified time, who changed, and the message. The message is including the property. So what property has was modified in this particular GPO. You can get this information. You can export the report to any file format, and you can even schedule that. You can also include this report in a alert profile, and you will be getting an email alert. Okay, so that's the basic GPO. Now we have another category here where it says advanced GPO report. So this one will give you the in-depth report on what are all the changes happen on a GPO and what is the old value and the present value. Okay, so you can see the GPO name, modified time, domain controller, who made the change, and the summary. If you click on the show details, it is going to tell you what specific policy was modified on this GPO. Okay, so you can see that the computer version and the computer version 80 have been modified, and the old value and the new value is displayed right here. So if you want to get these information, make sure that the SACL settings are enabled on the domain controllers. Okay, so without which you will not be getting these details. So the SACL settings, I have told you how to enable it, and we'll also be sending you a document on how to enable it manually, so you can use that for the reference. So that's about the GPO settings, and so that's pretty much for the today's session, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope the session was pretty helpful. In case of any assistance, in case you need any personalized assistance, if you want me to help you with the advanced configuration, shoot me an email. I'm going to write my email address. Okay, so this is my email address. Just go ahead and shoot me an email so that we can help you for any assistance. And so the next workshop is going to be on the coming Wednesday, and we'll be covering the topics about the advanced configuration. Okay, so that's going to be the topic for the next webinar. So in case of you have any feedbacks about this session, please go ahead and shoot us an email. You can send me an email, or you can fill in the feedback form, which will be sent, we'll be sending it to you hopefully by tonight or tomorrow. So please make sure you're giving your comments. So that's about for today's session, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much for all your time, and you all have a great day. Bye-bye.